Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be going through my tips from round 6 to see how well I did or how poorly I did. Spoiler. And go through and tip round 7 as well. So before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload as well as when I go live, and let's jump into the video. So, going back through the tips from round 6, and it was really poor. I somehow got a top 36% with a 4 out of 9. Obviously, the Richmond upset didn't help, but I should have probably seen that Collingwood were a really strong side this year. They are currently 5-1 after losing their opening game. They have pretty much taken the comp by storm and look the strongest side in the comp. I did predict that if they could, I think my words were something along the lines of keep their older players on the park, they will go far. They potentially have the chance to win it. I was just concerned, I think, in preseason, even though I tipped them to win it all, that they would cop a couple injuries, and that would be that. And they absolutely obliterated Brisbane on Brisbane's home deck. I thought that Brisbane would win by 15, and I was wrong. I was wrong to the tune of 67 points. Yeah. I was so far off. That was a bad tip. Then we have Carlton against North Melbourne. I didn't really rate Carlton, to be honest, and they proved me wrong. Well, mostly in the last quarter. It was like 8-1 in the last quarter goals kicked. So in the end, they were able to really just do well and get on the board. And I was right, but I was still wrong in terms of the margin by, that's an 82-point margin. I predicted Carlton by 16. That means I was 66 points off. 1 point off in comparison to the first game of the round, yet I got this tip right, which just shows how much they won by. I said Essendon by, I don't know whether this is a 16 or a 36. I'm going to go with 36 just because I probably thought that West Coast were pretty bad. And if it was 36, I still got the tip right, but I was 34 points off, as West Coast probably should have won this game, which would have made this round even worse. But yeah, Essendon come out winners, 3 in a row for Essendon, so they don't look the worst. But we'll see how they go through the rest of this year, as you know, you start to really figure out who are top 8. Also around about that 12th or round 12 or 14 or so, as teams mostly play the teams that they'll have played for the full year, or at least everyone's played everyone or so there or thereabouts. So yeah, that's why I think that Essendon, we'll see how they play out, and we'll see how the top 8 plays out. I had Freo in this game by 13 points. They ended up losing by 10, so I was 23 points off on that margin. Melbourne just came out and looked really, really good. Gone back to his dominant best. Looks to be the best ruckman in the comp at the moment. Yeah, he just dominated Darcy, who still needs to come back and get a little bit better fitness. Or just match fitness. It just is basically with Darcy. Adelaide, I said them by 7. I got that tip right, and probably was one of the differentiators this week. Realistic differentiators. Yeah, so I got that tip right, and I was only, 18 points. So I was 11 points off in that game. And then we go to Gold Coast against Richmond. I said Gold Coast by 45 points. They lost by 11. So I was 56 points off. Another tip that my margin already for this round, if you were to do the full round, would probably be already 200 and something. So I tipped the team by 8 points in this game. I tipped the wrong team by 8 points. I tipped Sydney by 8, and they lost by 8, so I was 16 points off. Not the greatest tip there. Sydney kicked 10 goals, 17. If they kick 14 goals, 14, they end up on 98. They win by 13, and that looks like a great tip. But they forgot how to kick for goal on the first quarter. Western Bulldogs against St Kilda. I thought St Kilda would steal this game. Nope. Western Bulldogs look absolutely fantastic and are top 8 for a reason. St Kilda are, yeah, really poor. And I got this tip wrong by 83 points, just showing how bad this round was for me. And then finally, I actually got a tip really good. Said Geelong by 8. They won by 7. So I was 1 point off, almost the perfect margin for that game. Now, we go to round 7. The tips. Melbourne against Richmond. I just think Melbourne's midfield will win this for them this week. I know Richmond won last week and Melbourne have looked shaky, etc. Melbourne are below Richmond at the moment on the ladder, but I think this is where, Melbourne start to pick up a gear, I would say, and I think they win this one by, I'm going to say 18 points. I do think that Richmond will show a fight, but I think Melbourne will just be better in the long run for over the course of the 4 quarters. Collingwood will win on Anzac Day. I just don't even see I don't really almost see an avenue where Essendon win. I just think Collingwood are just their older guys are just aging like fine wine. I am going to say it 100 times this year, but they are just absolutely turning around, they're anti-aging at this point, Pendles and Sidebottom. So I think Collingwood win this one by 32 points on Anzac Day, and I think it will be, who I think is going to win the medal? It's probably going to be, the obvious pick would just be Dacos. I think he could, but I'm going to go Darcy Cameron against Goldstein to win the medal. I think he's going to absolutely dominate in the ruck, and I'm going to go DC, Anzac medal. There we go. Then you have Freo against Adelaide at Optus Stadium. Freo probably have Jackson back this week, but have lost O'Meara, which means that Erasmus is probably going to get a chance to play. So, I'm probably going to go Adelaide. I think Adelaide's, yes, they have, I don't think they have, do they have Fogarty playing? Potentially, I don't know exactly. I haven't really looked at the injury report, but they beat GWS. They've looked pretty good. They've looked pretty good in the long run. They've lost to a couple teams above them on the table. Well, Geelong's just near them on the table. So I think they've lost to good sides. And I think that Freo, even though they'll probably find a way to win the midfield matchup, Freo, I just think that the tall forwards will really struggle. Put Freo, they'll just struggle with it to manage it, Freo. So I think Adelaide win this one by 12 points. St Kilda, Brisbane's going to win that. I think that they are able to bounce back from their pretty disappointing display against Collingwood, whereas I don't know if St Kilda can bounce back. So I'm going to say Brisbane by 24 points. Port Adelaide, North Melbourne. Port Adelaide, they'll win that pretty easily. I think they'll win it by 36 points, to be honest. North Melbourne look pretty poor, and Port Adelaide, although they've had some disappointing displays, Port Adelaide, they're still 3-3, so they're doing the job. GWS against Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, I think, actually play well against GWS, if my memory serves me correct. They have won 3 out of the last 4 matchups against GWS. They have no Sam Darcy, though. That could be a big factor, as well as Jesse Hogan coming back. So I think GWS end up winning this one. I think Jesse Hogan coming back. Maybe I just wasn't watching the games hard enough if he did play on the weekend. But anyway, he should be back, you would expect, this week. Let's actually just check AFL injuries. Should have checked this probably beforehand. Let's go here and go to Hogan. Hogan is a test this week and could return alongside Cornelio. And then I just want to check with Adelaide as well. If I just scroll up to the top of the screen, do they have any major injuries? Rochelle is the test, so that should help Adelaide as well. So yeah, GWS in this game, I'm going to go them by 12 points. Gold Coast against Sydney. It sucks to tip against Sydney, but I just think Gold Coast's midfield is really just going to tear Sydney's apart. And I don't know, with Sydney have no one returning as well, so that doesn't help. And so I'm just going to tip Gold Coast by 15 points, and I'll be glad if Sydney get up. But yeah, I think Gold Coast win that one. Geelong, I don't want the odds. I want Geelong in this game against Carlton. I just do not rate Carlton to be able to produce a performance. I think their top 8, Carlton is really in line with like the top in the comp, their top 8 players, but their bottom 6 in their on field are really poor. So I'm going to go Geelong in this game by 26 points. And then Hawthorn against West Coast. Hawthorn is going to take the mickey with them, and I'm going to say Hawthorn by 55 points. So those are my tips for round 7 of the AFL season. Post your tips in the comments below, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for the game review of the Thursday night game between Melbourne and Richmond. So I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.